I want you to do. And then the dad said, I figure you've killed him by now, so he started attacking. This is the same Sultan, right? That's what you're telling me. And you really think he's sitting over there in his castle going, haven't heard from Vlad in a minute? Yeah, you. The guy with the funny looking hair. Yeah. I want you to get the guy who hangs out outside the kitchen and chases the scullery maids. You and him, and I'm going to write down a little note. I want you to take it to Vlad. And y'all just take this note, and then it's going to be fine. It's going to be... Oh, no, don't worry about Fred. Fred went and did something else. That's why Fred didn't come back, but it's going to be fine. And then, the guy with funny looking hair and the guy from outside the kitchen, they were gone then, and he could, get somebody else. I'm just saying, you don't get to be a sultan by not figuring out just a little bit about how people work.
So, now, stories about Vlad started when he was imprisoned the second time.
Okay.
Because he would get occasionally captured and then imprisoned, and then someone would insist that he be set free, and the Sultan would set him free, going, "Have you learned your lesson?" Pardon my French. Ooh.
We gotta bleep that.
Gotta bleep that.
So much for PG-11 this show.
It's been worse.
Anyway.
Our dog is annoying. He's just sitting on my lap.
But in Germany, that's really when the first stories started appearing about him, where they describe Vlad as a demented psychopath, a sadist, a gruesome murderer, and a masochist worse than Caligula and Nero put together.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
But this was also around the time that movable type printing had been invented, so the stories were very popular because it was really the first time that they could do stories like that. And these stories would also depict these horrific scenes, some of which happened, many of which didn't. For example, one of the books published in Nuremberg in 1499 depict Vlad dining at a table surrounded by dead or dying people on poles. And it says Vlad had a big copper cauldron built and put a lid made of wood with holes in it on top. He put the people in the cauldron and put their heads in the holes and fastened them there. Then he filled it with water and set a fire under it and let the people cry their eyes out until they were boiled to death. And then he invented frightening, terrible, unheard of tortures. He ordered that women would be impaled together with their children.
Don't like that.
That's pretty awful.
But it was all made up.
Well, yeah.
It was all just and people were just eating it up.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like a slasher flick. It's like how gory, how awful can you make it, and the more juicy it is, for pardon the terminology, the more people are going to be interested in it.
Now, yes, that is... Wait, what?
Did you see how much it was?
Yeah, it's got to be an original printing at $40,000.
Yeah.
Okay, 1897. Ooh. That's, yeah.
1897, the Dracula book by Stoker Bram.
It was Bram Stoker, actually.
Bram Stoker, yeah.
Yeah.
I read that wrong.
So
yeah, you want to know how much it is? Go ahead, go look online.
You can get a modern copy for a lot less.
Yeah,
like
but if you want to get like a lot... Because I saw one that was like 21, maybe. That's a new copy. But that one, in specific, if you want to get the old one.
Right, 1897. That's when the book was published. So that's got to be a first run. And, woo.
Ooh, expensive.
Yep.
So... that's Vlad himself. Now, Vlad had Poenari Castle. Poenari Castle started as a tower that had been built on a mountain by Vlad's grandfather.
Okay.
Then his dad decided that this would be the perfect site for a fortification. And so he having just arrested a bunch of people that were making his life difficult, decided to have them build him a castle. And the legend is they worked so hard their clothes disintegrated on their body.
Well, that's definitely a legend.
That's one legend.
Yep.
1 out of 18 billion. Probably more than that.
And everything they needed to build this castle, they would have found in this valley. So it's an entirely a local undertaking.
Wow.
Kind of. And it's massive for where it is. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's perched on top of a mountain. Uh-huh. So it's certainly not the biggest castle ever.
Well,
but
yeah.
For where it is, it's massive. And it would have been very easily defended back in the day.
Well, yeah.
And even to this day, if you go to Romania and you go to visit Poenari Castle, a bus drops you off near a set of steps. There are 1,400 steps that go up to the castle, and you will walk every one of them.
Yeah, not me.
You can't float up there. What do you think you are? Freaking...
I've walked a staircase like that before.
No.
Also, they do tours at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m.
That's nice.
Be there. They don't wait.
Yeah, that's nice. Never going.
Now, this place is one of many places where Vlad would impale people. So, lots of death happened here.
Well,
lots of it.
So can you smell the rotting?
Wow.
I doubt it, but
600 years later, probably not quite so much, love.
Okay, but I would think, even though if they bleached the whole place or something like that, you could still smell it.
Probably. Let's take a minute and get a word from our sponsors in.
Sure. Sounds good.
All right. So, let's talk a little bit about the castle. Like I said. Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong. It's 1,480 steps.
1,400. Well, those last 80, they really barely count.
Barely count. Yeah, let's do that in quote unquote.
Now, the Poenari Castle was built in the Byzantine style of castle building, which basically means that they took two walls and filled them up in between them with rubble.
Okay, so
the walls there are technically 9 feet thick.
I see.
It's not a solid filling, but you'd play hell getting through it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like digging through cookie dough ice cream.
I love cookie dough ice cream. I love straight up cookie dough. I'm gonna find a recipe and make up edible cookie dough, because that sounds really good right now.
Now, and the place was built very smart, because the roofs of the castle were designed to collect rainwater and cleverly feed it into a cistern in the castle, so it had water, fresh water almost at all times. Mm-hmm. And like I said, everything needed was probably built by the river. You could have gotten from the river valley below. So,
Awesome. So all the more to keep them fortified, because they didn't have to leave for
building materials.
Water. They didn't have to leave for building materials.
Right. It was during the end of his first reign that Vlad was fighting off a siege from Poenari Castle. Now, Vlad managed to escape, but his wife didn't. Mm. And when the Sultan's people pushed forward, Dracula's wife, rather than trust the Sultan to take care of her, decided it would be better to take her chances leaping into the river hundreds of feet below and trusting the mercy of the fishes.
So it's never a good idea.
So she leapt from the walls of the castle.
Back in that day, being a female and being a prisoner wasn't necessarily the best thing. So I can feel her on that.
Well, and also this is someone that, as everything says, she was just as bloody-minded as he is.
Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, and that brings us to the castle and its modern-day haunting.
Don't put that effects in my face.
Okay, so... so that's what happened. Did the second wife die of old age?
I didn't look up all of his wives and why they died, only this one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I'm sure he might have had one or two of them killed.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, yeah. What else do you do with them?
No relationship's perfect, after all. Especially when you're a megalomaniac, psychopath.
See, I don't think he was all of those things. I think he was a cruel man, almost certainly. But I think cruelty is fairly... It's the price you pay when you take a child from his dad.
Yeah, like I said. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that Sultan definitely played into him being a merciless SOB.
Right. And I also think that, at that part of the world, cruelty was seen as just a part of nobility, almost.
Yeah.
I mean, none of those people were nice to each other. It wasn't like a fight was a punch in the nose and a hug. It was a long, protracted combat that meant a lot of ordinary people were going to die to satisfy the ego of a couple of rulers that weren't worth the powder it would take to blow them to hell.
Well, fair enough. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, cruelty kind of came with the territory. And as far as him being a psychopath, maybe, but, he was equally motivated by his hatred of thieves and liars.
Fair enough.
And, that was probably from, his religious studies.
Yeah.
Because think about it, God hates all sin equally.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not arguing that what he did was cool or right. I'm saying that judging him in the 15th century with 21st century eyes is a bit more than we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
So, let's talk about the ghosts.
Ghosts.
His wife still roams the castle. Even though her last thing was to leap from its battlements into the river below, thus killing herself, she is still seen in the castle to this very day.
Well, yeah, it was her castle.
Where else is she gonna live? In the sea? In the pond? In the thing next to it? In the water next to it?
Well, I don't know if she's ever seen there, but she is seen in the castle. She's seen on its grounds. At night, those who have been there at night say that you can hear battle. You can also hear moans and occasionally smell the stench of death.
Maybe from when they came in and got her. I mean, that's what it's a possibility.
Often, slaves are seen, that look to be like chained together and look to be working on the castle.
Oh, well, Yeah, well, I would imagine that's a thing you would do if you had all of these people that were...
Now, there are mediums who claim that around 1,500 souls still wander the castle. Some claim Vlad himself is one of them. That he is...
Do we have a count on how many people he purportedly actually killed?
There might be, but I was not able to locate that number. And I did some pretty serious looking. The problem with Vlad is
It's so old.